everybody. So we're gonna attempt to make a video today. Whether we'll get through it again is another story, but we're gonna try. So we're gonna count down my top 10 favorite things, and hopefully I don't ramble too much, because that would be bad. So number 10 is horror movies. I love being able to turn off the lights, grab some popcorn, sit back, and get scared shitless for a few hours. Hopefully that pun is unintentional. You'll figure that out later. But yeah, being able to jump into a horror movie, experience fear and adrenaline in the safety of your living room, that's an amazing feeling. I know other people don't agree with me, but I love it. One of the only horror movies or thrillers to actually spook me or scare me was Mimic. I have a huge fear of bugs, and watching that in a dark room in a basement suite that had a problem with spiders was probably the best way to watch it. And I think I still have nightmares thinking that cockroaches could get that big, but it was a good movie. If anybody knows of any good horror movies, since I haven't really found one that truly scared me, leave it in the comments below and I'll check it out. Number 9 is cooking. I love being able to go in the kitchen and experiment. At least most of the time you can't. At least with cooking, if I make a mistake or it doesn't turn out right, I can just season the crap out of it and just delete it. But most of the time, my stuff turns out really well. I wouldn't say 5-star chef well. Gordon Ramsay would still tell me I'm a fucking idiot. But I will practice and get better, and that's all that matters. Number 8 is reading. I grew up learning I was autistic when I was 9, and grade 1 and 2 was when the teachers and families started to realize that there was something wrong, because I didn't adapt to social settings or to being able to read properly. Where everyone was already learning how to read in preschool and kindergarten, I still didn't know how to by grade 2. And that was kind of a red flag. And it wasn't until late grade 3 that I discovered a Goosebumps book. Number 22, Ghost Beach. I still have it somewhere. It was the first book I actually read and enjoyed. And I wasn't totally on the books bandwagon right then and there. I think Monster Blood, one of the Goosebumps books, really gave me an interest, but it wasn't until I discovered Animorphs. And I took off. I don't think I put books down for 10 years. At any given time, there was a book in my hands. Right now, it is the Pittacus Lore book series, because number 10, Fate of 10, comes out September 1st. So I'm trying to read through the series as fast as I can. Right now, I'm doing The Lost Files Hidden Enemy. I like this author particularly because he writes the regular stories like you get with Hunger Games, but to make it even better, he writes 3 short stories that occur before, during, or after the main books, and they're brilliant. They are fantastic. So you get a more in-depth feel about what's going on behind the scenes or with the characters, and that's enough for that round. Number 7, musicals. I love that I can expand my love of music and my love of movies. Just shove them all into one DVD or something. Yeah, that sounded better in my head, but it started to sound dirty coming out of my mouth, so I stopped. So when I was younger, my grandma introduced me to musicals. First musical I ever watched was Wizard of Oz. I didn't quite like it, but I decided I'm gonna give another one a try. I tried Flower Drum Song and loved it, and was lucky enough to go see Showboat when I was 8 or 9. It was amazing. I've seen Grease live, West Side Story, and hope to see Wicked and Lion King next. Possibly Hairspray. Hairspray is performing in town right now, but I think I missed it because I think they ended. But yeah, those are on my list of to do. I love it. Number 6 kind of ties in with number 7, Disney. First movie I ever watched was Snow White. It was magical. Being able to escape into a world of fairy tales, magic, and pixie dust, brilliant. And I think the lessons they teach when you're younger are really good for the most part, so that helps too. For the record, my favorite Disney movie is The Lion King. I may have others that kind of fight for the number 1, but Lion King's the best. Number 5, theme parks. So water parks, amusement parks, you name it, I love it. I love the fact that I can hop on a roller coaster, be strapped in, and still experience something similar to the thrill you'd get from bungee jumping or skydiving, which I'm too afraid to do, but will probably try sometime. One of my dreams is to backpack or road trip across Canada in the US and just stop at amusement parks for the day and experience all the rides. It's definitely something I want to do before I get too old to handle the roller coasters. So, and the reason water parks get a shout out for number 5 is it's the same thrill as a roller coaster, but you ain't strapped in. You just have water pushing you through a tube. And in some ways that can be a better thrill than a roller coaster because there's nothing keeping you safe for it. And I kind of like that. Number 4 is superheroes. Growing up as an autistic person, you have the schools, the teachers, the counselors that all work with you, which is great. And nowadays, the counselors are amazing when they're dealing with people with autism because they realize that it is a different way of seeing the world rather than something holding you back. When I was growing up, you didn't have that. It was, you're autistic, so you're lesser than everybody else. And that's just how they treated people. So I was told I would never graduate, told I would never do this or that, and told that I would live my life at home on disability doing nothing, pretty much. I know it's bad, but that's just how they raised you. And discovering comic books and superheroes allowed me to see the world different than what everyone was telling me. So you have people like Daredevil, Bruce Wayne, so somebody who's blind who puts on a mask and saves the world and becomes a lawyer. Or Bruce Wayne, who suffers from anxiety, being able to put on a mask and cape, save the world, and fight crime. Being able to look up to things like that when you're told that you'll never be able to do anything is phenomenal. And if I didn't have things like that to look up to, I think I would have turned out a lot differently and maybe listened to what people were telling me. But thankfully, I took inspiration from the comics and turned out a lot different. Number 3, candles. So this may be more of an addiction than a love or favorite thing, but I don't care. Having anxiety is difficult, but being able to find a trigger that helps completely calm you down in seconds is amazing. And for me, that trigger is anything minty. And discovering candles that just smell straight up peppermint that smelled good, I was all over it. Discovering minty candles, even worse. I swear I'm done. No more candles. But discovering the candles kind of led me to Party Light. A friend of mine was selling it. I was absolutely in love with candles and decided I was going to give it a try. On a side note, I just realized the smell of artificial bananas kind of smells like dog treats, as long as you don't get it too close to your face. Oh, that's weird. Back to candles. So I got into Party Light. I absolutely loved it, but I found that as a business, it's great. As a hobby, not so much, because it's a bit too pricey. So luckily, I discovered, and let's see. So they're these little tiny cubes that you break off and put in a warmer and just flick the light switch on. It's lit with a light bulb or a heating element, and I love it. But yeah, I discovered this, and that was 6 years ago. I haven't turned back. This is the first Scentsy scent I ever smelled. It's called Snowberry. I love it. Enough about candles, because I could do an entire 40-minute video on just candles. Number 2, tiny house. So I've always had a love of tree houses. I think when I was 5 or 6, I saw Swiss Family Robinson, and that was around the same time that Hook came out. So you have Peter Pan living in a tree thing. I don't even know what to call it. You have the Swiss Family Robinson building a luxurious treehouse in the middle of nowhere, just parts from a ship. You have Hook, where all the Lost Boys have built a village in the trees. It's amazing. And I think I always wanted to build a house that was small, and at the time, I didn't really understand much, so tree houses were what I thought of. Later on, I discovered motorhomes and RVs, and thought maybe I'll just make my own motorhome or RV or something, or live in that. And a friend of mine lived in a van, and that was brilliant. The way he designed the place, because he gutted it and fixed it up himself. And it was, I think, 2012 that I came across a guy who outfitted a bus. He made it look like $1 million with birchwood all over. It was beautiful. I'll try and leave a link in the comment below, or a link in the box below, showing off the house. It was just a bus. And it was about a week after that I found Tiny House on Wheels. It was Jay Schaefer's very small tiny house, followed by Dee Williams, I think is her name. And she built a tiny house in Portland. And between the two tiny houses, I was in love. After discovering the tiny houses, I kind of shifted the way I thought and what I wanted to do to that of eventually building my own tiny house. I could go on for hours about tiny houses, but I'll save that for another video. But you kind of get an idea of why it's important enough to get number 2 on my list. Number 1, tea. This, some may say, is a problem. But I love it. So if you've ever seen my kitchen, you know what I'm talking about. I'll drink tea morning, noon, and night. The collection spans my entire kitchen, my mom's kitchen, and has even taken a chunk out of my work. The tea collection's rather large. So I think I've been drinking tea since I was 7 or 8. Usually back then it was the herbal teas like licorice and blueberries and peppermint, but it wasn't until high school that I discovered that tea in general had amazing benefits to your health. And having stomach problems and anxiety, it was a way to feel healthy without having to take Tylenol or something to get rid of pain. So peppermint tea became one of my favorite teas in the world. It wasn't until 5 or 6 years ago that I started getting into more traditional teas, but thankfully we had a really great store by where I live, and the workers there were phenomenal and have taught me so much about tea. So yeah, I owe a lot of what I know and love about tea to the wonderful people there. And that's why tea is number 1 on my list. Thanks for sticking around so far. If you like what you've seen, be sure to click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye! That was fun.